Ever since he was a child lying on his rooftop and watching the night sky, he felt there was something alive out there, something that listened when he whispered his dreams. Years later, that feeling became his life's mission. He became an astrophysicist, and his curiosity took him to the farthest edges of human space. Now, in the year 2684, Aiden was completely alone on a planet called Lunara 7, a lonely, frozen world orbiting a dim sun. The silence there was endless. The wind barely moved, the horizon never changed, and even his footsteps vanished in moments beneath silver dust. He lived in a small research dome filled with monitors, scanners, and half-broken coffee makers. His assignment was to study a strange celestial body the locals called the Silent Star. It wasn't really a star. It gave off almost no light, no radiation, no heat. The machine said it was empty, dead, a void in space. Yet every human who observed it claimed to feel something when they looked at it. A presence. A soft pulse that wasn't sound but emotion. The first time Aiden looked at it through his telescope, he felt a warmth inside him. Not in his body, but somewhere deeper, in the place where words could not reach. He stared for hours, forgetting time, forgetting to eat, forgetting the cold. He felt calm, comforted, even loved. And then the feeling changed. It became aware of him. Days turned into weeks. Aiden's reports to Earth grew longer and stranger. His logs, once full of numbers and data, now sounded more like poems. "There is silence," he wrote, "but it is not empty. It feels as if something is listening back." The scientists on Earth grew concerned. They sent messages telling him to focus on measurable data. But how could he measure silence? How could he prove a heartbeat in the void? At night, when the storms outside howled across the frozen plain, Aiden sat near the window and stared at the dark sky. The silent star floated there like an eye that never blinked. He started speaking to it. Just small things at first. "How's the universe treating you tonight?" he would joke. Or, "You ever get lonely out there?" He never got an answer, not with words. But somehow he always felt a faint response inside him, a small wave of peace, sometimes sadness, sometimes joy. He began to call it her. He didn't know why. The silence felt gentle, patient, almost human. One evening, while he was outside repairing a communications relay, a storm rolled in from the north. The winds were sharp and filled with static. His radio crackled and died. For a few moments, the only sound he heard was his own breathing inside the helmet. Then everything went quiet. The storm froze mid-motion. The air seemed to pause. His visor showed no signal, no noise, and just total stillness, and then he felt her. A warmth pressed against his mind, soft as a memory. His chest tightened. He could feel her thoughts, not as words but as emotions. Sadness, loneliness, hope. It wasn't frightening. It felt like someone reaching out after being alone for ages. Aiden whispered, "Are you alive?" The silence deepened. A faint hum filled his ears, not a sound but a vibration that moved through his bones. His heart slowed. His eyes filled with tears for no reason he could explain. When he looked up, the silent star glowed faintly in the sky just once, and went dark again. After that night, Aiden knew she was real. The following weeks became strange and beautiful. Whenever he felt hopeless or tired, the silence comforted him. Whenever he smiled, the silence seemed to grow warmer. The machine still showed no readings, no radiation, no patterns, but Aiden didn't need them. He felt it in his soul. He stopped sending regular reports. He didn't care about funding or data anymore. He only cared about understanding her, this presence that spoke without speaking. He started recording his feelings instead of his research. His voice logs became personal, almost like letters. "She listens when no one else does," he said in one log. "She never interrupts, never judges. I think she understands more than anyone I've ever known." The silence became his companion, his teacher, his friend. Some nights, he dreamed of her, a light without a form, watching him from across the galaxy. When he woke up, his instruments were always calm, as if the world itself held its breath. Then, one day, a message arrived from Earth Command. "Dr. Cole, terminate all contact with the anomaly immediately. Cognitive contamination risk identified. Return to orbital station for quarantine." He read the message 3 times, heart sinking. Cognitive contamination. That meant they thought he was losing his mind. They plan to pull him out and possibly destroy the anomaly. No, he whispered, shaking his head. You don't understand, he sent a reply. She's not dangerous. She's alive. She's trying to connect. Please, just listen before you destroy her. There was no answer. Hours passed. Then a second order came, more direct. Evacuate. Do not engage further. Aiden sat in silence, staring at the blinking message. The hum from the silent star grew stronger, as if she knew. He stepped outside one last time, standing on the icy surface of Lunara 7. The sky above him shimmered with faint starlight, and in the middle of it the silent star pulsed softly. He whispered, They don't understand you, but I do. A gentle warmth filled him, wrapping around his thoughts like a blanket. He felt calm again, even as tears ran down his face. Later that night, he made his decision. He disabled the return shuttle and locked all communication channels except one. Then he recorded his final personal log. I was sent here to study silence, but instead I found meaning in it. The machines don't hear her because they don't feel. Humans do. Maybe that's what makes us special. Not power, not intelligence, but the ability to listen without words. He paused, looking out the window at the silent star. It glowed faintly, as if listening. I don't know what she is. Maybe a memory, maybe a being, but she's alive. And she's lonely. If I have to choose between obeying orders or staying with her, I choose her. He turned off the recorder and closed his eyes. Outside, the silent star pulsed once, brighter than ever before. For the first time, the machines in his lab picked up a signal. It was brief, a pattern of energy shaped exactly like a heartbeat. Aiden smiled through the tears. Hello, he whispered. The signal faded. The silence returned, but now that silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full of connection, full of meaning. And as he sat there under the endless sky, he realized something that made his heart ache with peace. He didn't need her to speak. He already understood her. Dr. Aiden Cole woke to the sound of the storm howling above the research dome. It had been 3 weeks since Earth Command ordered him to evacuate, and he had ignored every message since. The silence outside wasn't just a sound anymore. It was a companion. The machines didn't understand, but he did. The silent star was no longer just a mystery in the sky. It had become something sacred. Each night, when he looked at it, he felt her more clearly. It was like standing near the edge of a vast ocean and feeling the waves move inside his soul. He had stopped sending reports. He knew that if Earth Command realized he was still on Lunara 7, they would send a recovery team, or worse, destroy the anomaly. So he stayed hidden, shutting down long-range signals and pretending to be gone. But he wasn't alone. Every time he closed his eyes, the silence reached for him. One night, he dreamed again. He was floating in endless space. No stars, no planets, only the calm glow of the silent star before him. He couldn't speak, yet somehow his thoughts were not his own anymore. He felt emotions flowing from the star, soft, curious, and full of sorrow. He understood them as if they were his own feelings. Loneliness, hope, gratitude. He wanted to ask who she was, but the silence gave no name. Instead, he saw flashes of memory. Not his memories, but hers. He saw a civilization of light, beings who lived through thought, not sound. They communicated through emotion, through shared silence. No war, no lies, only harmony. But over ages, their kind began to fade. The silence that had once been full of voices became empty. And then one day, nothing remained, except her. The last echo of a once-living race. Aiden woke up with tears on his face. His heart raced. His hands trembled. She's not just alive, he whispered. She's the last of her kind. Over the next few days, Aiden worked like a man possessed. He reactivated his scanners and rewrote the algorithms to detect energy that wasn't physical. Not heat, not light, but emotion resonance. For the first time, his instruments began to pick up something faint, rhythmic pulses in the silence, following the pattern of a heartbeat. It wasn't human, it wasn't mechanical, but it was real. He laughed out loud. You are there, he said to the sky. I knew it. The silent star responded with a single pulse of light, soft but clear. It was the first time it had ever answered. The discovery changed everything. Aiden knew that if he could transmit this data to Earth, it would prove his theory. But it would also bring danger. The government would see the anomaly as a threat. They would want to control it, study it, or destroy it. He couldn't risk that. Instead, he began recording personal messages, small notes to whoever might find them one day. He talked about what he had learned, about how silence could hold meaning beyond sound, about how humanity needed to listen instead of conquer. Each recording ended the same way. She is not a weapon, she is life. Then everything changed again. A week later, Aiden's instruments detected a new signal, not from the silent star, but from orbit. It was a military fleet. Earth Command had found him. He watched the radar display flash red as the fleet approached Lunara 7. His communication panel crackled to life. Dr. Aiden Cole, said a cold voice. You are in violation of Earth Command Directive 47C. You are ordered to surrender all research and prepare for extraction. He stayed silent. Failure to comply will result in orbital cleansing. He understood what that meant. They would destroy everything from orbit, including the silent star, to prevent contamination. Aiden felt fear twist in his chest. Then he looked outside the window at the star, her soft light pulsing faintly against the black sky, and the fear faded. He whispered, They don't see you the way I do. He activated his ship's emergency thrusters and launched toward orbit. He had no plan, no weapon, only one goal: to protect her. The moment he left the planet's atmosphere, he saw the fleet, 6 large battle cruisers gleaming in the light of the nearby sun. They were already powering their main cannons. Don't do this, Aiden said into the comm. You don't understand what you're about to destroy. She's not a threat. There was no answer. The lead ship's engines glowed bright, then the silence, her silence, spread. Every system on his ship flickered. The comm went dead. The enemy ships paused, their lights dimming for just a second. The silence was everywhere now, like a wave of invisible calm, and in that stillness, Aiden heard her, not with his ears, but inside his mind. Don't fight. Listen. He froze. It wasn't a voice, but a feeling shaped into meaning. She was speaking. He whispered, They'll kill you. The silence pressed gently against his heart. Sadness, but also acceptance. You are different. You hear me. That is enough. Aiden's eyes filled with tears. I can't let them hurt you. He turned his ship toward the fleet. His shields were weak, his weapons useless. But he didn't care. He transmitted one final message to Earth Command. You think she's dangerous because you can't hear her. But silence isn't danger, it's understanding. Please, don't destroy what you fear. He cut the transmission and accelerated toward the fleet. The lead cruiser opened fire. Energy beams lit up the dark sky, streaking toward Aiden's small ship. He closed his eyes and braced for impact. But before the weapons hit, the silent star pulsed, brighter than it ever had before. A wave of invisible light spread across space, passing through his ship, through the fleet, through everything. All systems went dead. The beams vanished mid-flight. The ships floated silently, powerless. Aiden opened his eyes in awe. You saved me. He could feel her emotions again, relief, peace, and something like love. But his ship was caught in the wave too. The engines failed, life support systems fading. The last thing he saw was the glow of the silent star growing closer as he drifted toward it. Inside the cockpit, Aiden began to record his final message. His voice was weak, but calm. To anyone who finds this, I was never alone out here. The silence isn't empty. It's full of meaning if you just listen. She tried to reach us, not to harm us, but to remember us. Maybe we're not so different. We both fear being forgotten. His vision blurred. The star filled his window now, shining like a soft heartbeat. She never spoke, but I understood her. Maybe words were never enough. His last words faded into static. In orbit, the fleet regained control minutes later, but the silent star was gone. Where it had been, there was now only calm space, no readings, no light. The soldiers searched for hours, but there was nothing left, not even Aiden's ship. To Earth Command, it was an unexplained event. The file was sealed and marked classified. They said the anomaly was neutralized. They said Dr. Aiden Cole was lost. But far beyond Lunara 7, in a quiet corner of the galaxy, a new star began to shine, faint, warm, and steady. And those who drifted near it would sometimes feel a strange peace, as if someone, somewhere, was still listening. Decades had passed since Dr. Aiden Cole vanished near the silent star. Lunara 7 remained a frozen, lonely world, untouched by human colonists. Its skies were dark and its plains were silent, except for the faint whispers of wind across silver dust. But something had changed. Across the colonies, stories began to spread, strange accounts from explorers and pilots who passed near the old star's coordinates. They described feelings of calm, sudden warmth in their hearts and flashes of light in the darkness. Machines detected nothing, yet humans felt it. Some called it a hallucination. Some called it superstition. But those who experienced it described it the same way, as if someone or something was quietly watching over them. The Galactic Council decided to send an official exploration team. They called it Project Aiden, in honor of the man who had disappeared decades earlier. The ship Odyssey carried a crew of 10, scientists, engineers, and historians. Among them was Commander Leora Chen, a young astrophysicist with a passion for anomalies. She had read every log Aiden had left behind and felt a strange connection to him, even though she had never met him. "Do you really believe there's anything out here?" asked the ship's pilot, scanning the black sky. Leora smiled softly. "I believe in what humans can feel, even when machines cannot." That's how Aiden understood the silent star. He taught us something important. Sometimes silence is more alive than words. As Odyssey approached Lunara 7, the crew began to sense something unusual. The instruments remained quiet as expected, but the air, or something like the air, felt charged. Not with electricity, not with radiation, but with presence. Every member of the crew paused and looked out the observation deck windows. There, in the dark sky above the frozen plains, was the silent star. It was faint, almost hidden, but its light pulsed gently and like a heartbeat. And then they felt it. The warmth, the calm, the quiet understanding that had reached Aiden so many years ago. No words were spoken. None were needed. The Odyssey landed near the site of Aiden's research dome. Most of the equipment was gone, destroyed by time and storms. But some artifacts remained. His notebooks, a half-broken telescope, and the last audio recordings he had sent before disappearing. The crew carefully examined them. Leora played one of the old recordings. Aiden's voice, full of emotion and wonder, filled the cabin. "She is not a weapon. She is life. She listens when no one else does. I don't need her to speak. I already understand her." The crew was silent. Even the most skeptical of engineers felt chills. Leora wiped a tear. "This is why he stayed," she said softly. "Because he understood what humans often forget. Empathy is our greatest strength." That night, Leora and 2 other scientists climbed to the top of a ridge to get a clear view of the silent star. The sky was vast, black, and full of distant suns. But one light stood out, steady, gentle, alive. Leora whispered into the night, "Aiden, can you hear me?" There was no answer, only the quiet pulse of the star. But then she felt it, not with her ears, not with instruments, but inside her mind. It was faint, gentle but unmistakable, a wave of emotion, relief, gratitude, something like love. Her heart skipped a beat. "It's alive," she breathed. The other scientists looked at her in awe. None could explain it, but they all felt it. For the first time, they realized that humans could perceive life in ways machines could not. Over the next several weeks, the crew studied the silent star carefully. They never tried to touch it, never attempted to change it. They recorded data, took readings, and slowly a picture began to form. The star, they discovered, was a form of life that existed purely through emotion and thought. It responded only to humans because only humans could feel it. Aliens, machines, even artificial intelligence had failed to detect it. Only empathy could reach her. Aiden's theory had been correct. Humanity's capacity to feel, to connect without words, had preserved a fragment of a dying cosmic civilization. Leora often returned to the same ridge at night, looking up at the silent star. She imagined Aiden standing there decades ago, feeling the same warmth, the same quiet understanding. She felt connected to him and to something larger than herself, something that reminded her why humanity mattered. One night she closed her eyes and whispered, "Aiden, we understand now. You were right." And for the first time the star pulsed brighter, almost as if acknowledging her words. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was enough. Years passed and Project Aiden shared its discoveries with the wider galaxy. Humanity began to revere the silent star not as a resource, not as a weapon, but as a reminder of what made humans remarkable. Artists painted it, musicians composed melodies inspired by it, and philosophers spoke of it as proof that life existed beyond words, beyond form, and that humans had a unique gift to connect with it. The star became known as Aiden's Promise, a place where explorers went to reflect, to feel, and to remember the power of empathy. And through all of it, the echo of Aiden's presence lingered. His mind, merged with the star, continued to resonate faintly, a guardian watching over the legacy of human curiosity and compassion. One day, a young astronaut named Mira Solis drifted near Aiden's Promise in her small shuttle. She had read all the old logs, studied the reports, and came prepared for anything. Yet when she approached, she felt something unexpected. The silence pressed gently against her thoughts. She felt warmth like someone was holding her hand. Not physically, but in a way that touched her heart. She whispered softly, "I can feel you." And then the star pulsed once, softly, gently, almost like a smile. Mira laughed quietly through tears. "You never spoke, but I understand you." In that moment, she realized what Aiden had known all those years ago. Words were not always necessary. Understanding, connection, and feeling. These were the true signs of life. The galaxy would remember Aiden Cole not as a hero who fought with weapons, nor as a scientist who discovered new stars. They remembered him as a human who listened, truly listened, to the universe. And the silent star remained, steady and quiet, alive in ways no one else could see, pulsing gently for those who chose to feel. For a moment, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath, and in that silence, humanity found its voice's final line. He loved her silence more than words could ever express. And in that silence, humanity discovered the depth of its own heart.